Hi, welcome to the GF channel. In today's episode, we are adding a new button to the remote. If you have followed the channel, you know that I showed you a video with additional functions, not undocumented functions of the keyless entry unit. And one of the functions is this button. And whenever I pressed it, it actually inserted below a volt on one of the pins. Now this shell I bought from China, and it's for the protege. In the States they have this button here, while here in Europe we do not, and it's a panic button. Of course we do not. I'm not going to use the panic function. Not that the car has it, but for me it's a useless function. When you press it, it just activates the alarm. I don't see a point of that. But instead, what I'm going to do today is, when you press the button, fold the mirrors and blink the blinks once. That's a cool thing. Now, the folding of the mirrors, of course, most 626 do not have folding mirrors. I have a video how I'm actually adding that function to the 626. But newer Mazda vehicles actually do have that function. So this video could be helpful to newer Mazda vehicles. Now I've already started doing the modification, and after I done that part, not that part, and filmed it and everything, I figured, well, I can do better. So here I am again. I'm doing better. I have here some schematics. This is the optimal schematic, for which I do not have the parts for, and I'm not quite sure if they exist, but it's the simplest, so let's start from it. These modules, this one, and this one, are already in the car. I'm adding this one and this one. This is in the driver's side door, and this is in the car. And I have to pull a new wire. For most people, and including me, this is probably the hardest thing to do. Pull a wire from the car to the door. But I've done it already for the mirrors anyhow. So how does this work? Well, this is another modification here, blinks relay, which is not typical for the 626, for which I have another video. Again, one of the signals of the keyless entry unit: whenever you press the lock, it blinks once. Whenever you press the unlock, it blinks twice. Blinks, by blinks I mean sends ground, pulses of ground. So I have another video that does the modification to actually blink the blinks, and I'm going to extend that modification today by again sending ground whenever I'm actually closing the mirrors, whenever I'm folding them. So currently what happens is the keyless entry unit has this connection to this relay, but also this new signal that we are going to use here, the green one. This signal has to go to the opto relay. So this signal is the one that I told you, it has less than 1 volt whenever this panic button is pressed. And I'm using an opto relay because it uses the least amount of current to activate. And this is the relay. I actually haven't yet made the modification on that part, but I've tested the relay and it's working. It's set on low position. You see this L and H, these are high and low positions, not positions but input signals, so it expects logical low, and everything below 1 volt is a logical low. That's what we are actually going to use. So this signal goes directly into this in here. The rest is get some constant 12 volts, which the keyless entry unit already has, and constant ground. Again, the keyless entry unit has them. So all three signals on this side of the relay, they are coming from the keyless entry unit. On the output side, now as I said, I do not have this. We are supposed to have 4 contacts. I only have 3 for these schematics, because it's a double pole single throw relay. I do not have such. I have a single pole double throw relay, but we are going to get into that. The idea is one pole will control the constant ground and throw it to power on the driver's side door, relay. The other pole is actually going to grab the ground and throw it to the blinks relay to blink the blinks. Now somebody might say, but why not just use a ground signal to send to the door and to the relay at the same time and basically use this relay? Well, if that's the case, you're going to actually connect the output here for the blinks whenever you're locking and unlocking with the logic for actually folding your mirrors, which means every time you lock or unlock your car, you're going to fold your mirrors, which I do not want. That's why they are separate. That covers that part here. Now we send the 12 volts here to this part of the car, which is the driver's side door, and in here we actually have to cut the wires from the button, from the power mirror button, which is this one. Even Chinese modules, they do require you to cut the cables, because even if you remove the key from the car, you no longer have 12 volts on the power mirror lines, but the ground stays there. So whenever you're actually flipping the polarity, you're going to apply 12 volts to the ground wire, and that's a short, and it's going to short it. This means you cannot just do it inside of the car. You have to do it inside of the door, where you cut the wires that are just coming out of the button before they go to the mirrors. And that's what happened in here. We have cut the cables, they go to the normally closed circuit, which means whenever there's no power, they are connected directly to the mirror. Whenever power is applied to this relay, the 12 volts, constant 12 volts, which you can get from the power module, power window module, as well as ground, you can get it from there or anywhere else. You arrange them in a proper order, which will close the mirrors whenever you actually power on this double pole, double throw relay. They're going to close these two are going to be connected, so middle one will be disconnected, the two, the left and the right, are going to be connected. This will fold your mirrors. And that's a delay relay, because it's going to hold the this connection normally open to common for a period of time, which I believe it's about 6 to 8 seconds are enough. And after that, done. So after that, it brings back the control to the power mirror button. As you can see, it has an input. It has a constant 12 volts and a constant ground, and listens for 12 volts. But again, it's not that simple, because I couldn't find a double pole, double throw delay relay. All I have is here, which again, as you can see, you do not have all of those 6 connections. You have only 3, and that's a single pole double throw relay. And for that purpose, I have here already soldered the orange thingy at the bottom. Is a simple double throw, double pole, double throw relay. Nothing more. There's no logic on this circuit board here. Just the relay and the cables. Nothing more. The schematics for the actual more realistic way of doing it is basically, you can see the difference. I'm adding an external relays in both cases. So you can see the relay here, which is not yet soldered. This is the relay. This is the opto relay. This is the delay relay, and that's the double pole double throw relay, which is external. So this one is no longer a delay relay. It used to be a delay relay. It's now a regular double pole double throw relay, and a single pole single throw absolute minimum for a delay relay. In my case, it's single pole double throw, but that is not needed. A single pole single throw is fine. Same goes here. Single pole single throw is just enough for the optocouple, even though I have single pole double throw relay, which also will then require at least a single pole single throw relay, which I actually bought a single pole single throw relay. and going to solder it here along with the cables. So basically we have added a pole, because on this we are expecting to always have double pole, and we do not. So we have a single pole here and a single pole here, and we are actually adding one more pole in both cases. Actually here two poles, but there is just not such a relay. So schematics exactly the same. Signal comes, activates the opto relay, which then sends a signal to here, and at the same time powers on the second relay, which then transfers the ground to the blinks, and the blinks blink. Same goes here. The signal here arrives, activates the single pole single throw relay, which then sends the ground. So the double pole double throw relay actually has a constant ground here. Whenever the signal comes, it receives the ground, so it closes and closes the mirrors. Whenever this stops, this disconnects, and the button is again to do. Now this thing I did implement, I did film, and then I figured, well, there's an issue here. The issue is this has constant ground, constant listening, so this is constantly connected, which means it draws power. While there are 12 volts coming here, could I use these 12 volts to actually then power on this relay? So no constant power here, but instead use the same power that comes, and that way I'm going to draw less power. And I ended up with this little thing. So you see, it's just a little play of wires, nothing more. A rearranging of the wires, and what happens here is the 12 volts come and they go both as powering on the relay and as an input signal, which directly activates this relay, which now switches the 12 volts instead of the ground. It used to actually switch the ground. Now it switches the 12 volts and powers on this relay, but at the same time when powering this relay, it actually sends the 12 volts again to the input, and this means it powers on here, which means the blinks are going to be constantly lit while the mirrors are folded. Instead of one blinking, you get a constant lit, which could be considered as bug, but also as a feature, a cool one. Whenever you want to see where your car is, you just press the panic button and it's not going to blink only, it's actually going to stay lit. All the blinks are going to stay lit for about 6 to 8 seconds, which is quite useful. Unfortunately, that didn't work well. And that's only because the delay relay is not the type the one I have. It's not the type I need. The way it actually works is whenever an input comes, it directly activates the relay, but it doesn't activate the timer, the delay, the countdown. It's not active until those 12 volts from the input disappear. So even though it closes the mirrors, it never releases the control, so this power button never goes into the control, and it keeps draining your battery. So it shouldn't be like that. The solution to this is right here. When I press next, you see I added a diode. So instead of solid wire, I have a diode, which means whenever these 12 volts come, they are going to go both to the power and to the input. It's going to activate the relay, which is then going to power itself, but it won't actually go back to the in and won't go back to the blinks. That works. Now the relay is not powered on, constantly powered on. Instead, it powers on whenever the 12 volts come. But I lost this cool feature, in my opinion, where the blinks stay lit all the time. Instead, I only have a single blink controlled by this single pole, single throw relay, single blink, nothing more. Which is fine. You have a feedback for that you're folding your car, and if you want to see where it is, you have to multi-press the button. So basically here you can see the diode. I didn't even solder it because it needs to go between the two farmost screws, so it's basically screwed there. I'm not sure. You should be able to see at least the one of the legs. Unfortunately, everything is below the wires, but the diode is there. Solves the issue. Now I have here a cable tie, which prevents whenever you're pulling this cabling here, it prevents from ripping off everything. And basically that's it. I've used double-sided tape, mounting tape, to secure the components. They're quite strong. So I can actually now demonstrate. Here it's the cable I'm using. I've removed all the unnecessary cables from it. I've cut here the cabling. I'm using all the signals are from here, of course, except the one that we should carry it from the keyless entry unit. So now, because I've cut the cables, as you can see my key is here, this doesn't do anything. Because the cables are cut, nothing happens without this module now. I add the module. So I add the module, and now this one actually works. You press, it folds. I press again, unfolds. And now it's in unfolded state. There is power, and still if I actually go and give a 12 volts to this one, this blinks. It's a timer, and these are folded, and now this actually stopped blinking, and they unfold because the relay actually brings back the control to the button, and the button say, hey, you have to be unfolded. If I fold them, or no, I'm going to unfold them and actually stop this. So even though the button is in control, it's not working because there's no power, and I'm still now going to press here 12 volts. This actually closes, folds the mirrors, stops, but they do not open because, well, there is no control. And now as soon as I give power back to the button, they unfold. Okay, that's with that part. I'm actually not, there's no way for this to be mounted anywhere here. So I'll probably have to glue it, use double-sided tape to the panel. We'll see how it goes. But let's now go open there the keyless entry unit and actually solder this thing, do the opposite part. Okay, so that's on this side. There is not quite a lot of space here, and it needs to be able to reach the cables at the bottom. So this connector right here. So I just glued it on the opposite side of the bolt that holds it, and also use the cable tie. Seems solid. It's not going to move anywhere. Here are the cables. So let me actually show you how to connect it to the keyless entry unit. This is the pin out. You need power supply from B, and then you need ground, which is the black cable, on L. And on H, which is missing here, the H is actually the output for the blinks, which I'm also using here. You can check it out on the other video where I actually added. Okay, and with that said, everything is connected. I've actually temporarily placed a wire here, and it goes out from the yellow connector. Let me close the door. So now if I press, the blinks are going to blink and the mirrors are going to fold. I can't. Okay, and now I can keep pressing. It is going to just blink, and once you get into the car and you turn the ignition, not ignition, the accessories, and they expand. Okay, so now I have to pull the cable all the way up to there and into the door, but I'm not going to show you how to do that because I already have it on the video where I actually installed the folding mirrors. I'll post a link in the description with the proper time for how to pull the cable through, how to open the door there, and how to then assemble it, because the procedure is a bit different. And after that I'm going to show you the final result. Okay, that's the final result. Close. If I press again, it just blinks. And now if I come here, open the door, actually get my key out of my pocket, plug it in and turn. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. Bye bye.